Hello again, everyone. Welcome into the final bet. The college football season is in full swing, and the black and gold kickoff this weekend. For all things football, we bring in Scott Kushner, the Polk and Kush Podcast. It is finally here. A great start to the college football season, though.
It was. It was very fun. It's nice to be back. Nice to be back talking football.
Yeah, he went to Tulane. That's a W. I went to the LSU Clemson game. Another W. I don't know how many W's we're going to have this weekend, but the New Orleans, Baton Rouge area, 2-0. So far, so good.
College-wise, you should have W's again. If you don't have a W in Baton Rouge this weekend,
yeah.
Oh, no.
Something's wrong.
We're going to get to it. The Tulane game can be a little tricky, but we'll get to it.
But you still should win at South Alabama. All right, let's get to tonight's opening line. LSU finally wins an opener. Tulane dominates Northwestern. New Orleans will host Arizona on Sunday. We're starting out with college football this evening because we had some winners this past weekend. First off, were you surprised that LSU got the dub the way they did?
I had them. Took the money line.
Whoa, the money line.
I went for all of it. I got it, plus 150.
That's
and it didn't look great at first, but yeah, look, if you're going to miss out on the quarterback, which they missed out on the quarterback not getting Bryce Underwood, they ended up in the best possible situation with having Nussmeier come back and then having the money to build a defense. And they have a defense for the first time since COVID. I mean, they look really good defensively. They're all over the place. That's even with a safety being suspended for the entire first half. I was very impressed. Their speed, their physicality, and Cade Klubnik is a guy who's seen a lot of college football. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's definitely a good college quarterback.
He was in the Heisman conversation before the season started.
He was right there with Arch and that whole, the whole conversation. And LSU did not let him get much. And they could not run the ball. And there's some of it is about Clemson. A lot of it is about how much talent now is in the back end for LSU.
I documented one on the show a lot that I've been to all these regular season opener losses. I did like the spread, which I think was like 3.5, 4 or so. I like the hook. But I thought LSU, you got to prove me wrong. Yeah. And they did at Clemson. I just thought it was going to be a tough environment. It was 80,000 rockin' fans in that stadium. Down 10-3 at half-1. I said this in my story on Sunday night on Final Play. Dabo Swinney was 155-10 when leading in halftime. Wow. That's wild that LSU would shut them out in the second half. So, yes, I was surprised that LSU finally won. But I also did say before the season I thought they were still going to make the playoff. I just thought they're going to have trouble in the opener.
Well, because we always question if the LSU's down at halftime, what's Brian Kelly going to do to kind of flip the script a little bit? He basically said, I told our players, we have to play a little bit better on all phases. But defensively, that's where it got turned up. Clemson didn't really score at all the rest of the game.
They didn't do anything, and LSU screwed up. Would have had another 3 points if they had managed the game properly. So, and they got a touchdown taken away from them that was controversial at best and a horrible call at worst. So LSU controlled that game. I don't think anybody walked out of there going, if Clemson had scored on that last drive, I think everyone would have said that LSU let that one get away and not that this was a close game. I mean, LSU totally outplayed them.
One, they spent a lot of money in the portal, and it all came to roost. Okay, Mansour Delane with a pick. Jack Pyburn and Patrick Payton coming off the edge, just harassing Cade Klubnik all day. A.J. Halsey only played a half, but when he got in the second half, he looked very strong. The rookie, DJ Pickett, the freshman, the 6'4" freak show cornerback. The defense was fantastic. This is why I think everybody's so high on them. They're number 2 in I picked them to be number 2 in America. They picked them number 3, the other AP voters. Blake Baker is going to be a hot commodity going through this season because his defense might be top 5, top 10 in America.
Now, we're saying a lot of this based on one game. But it was a quality opponent. It was on the road. It was a primetime game, and everyone's waiting for LSU to do what they've done since 2019, which is find a way to lose that football game, but they didn't. Garrett Nussmeier, I was corrected on overtime by Sean Vazan.
Okay.
He wasn't an average performance. Garrett Nussmeier had a really good performance. I went back and looked at the numbers. I mean, he was really sharp.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have that one play where you go, what are you doing? You're too experienced to make a play like that. But Nuss didn't lose this game for LSU. He did everything he could to help them win it and put players in the right position. Touchdown called back in the end zone, which I think it should have been a touchdown. Garrett Nussmeier has taken that next step in year 2.
Yeah, and that was, the example, right? When you build the LSU story, it's, Joe Burrow's second year, Jaden Daniels' second year, and now Garrett Nussmeier's second year. And he was not forcing the ball. He was not having to throw it 60 times, which helped too.
They had a run game. Boy, that helped them, didn't it?
Yes, and if you remember last year, it took weeks for them to be able to get 20 yards on the ground last year. And that is a totally different scene. And that was with Will Campbell and all those guys in the offensive line. This offensive line held up against what is largely considered a top 5 defensive line. They look good. They're not going to get challenged much more, I think, than what they did this week. And if that's what they are, then that's a heck of a start and a great test.
No Texas A&M mistakes. All those picks he threw in the second half definitely killed him that game. The next week at Florida, he struggled also. No mistakes, Juan. He's got a much more talent to throw to this year at tight end and wide receiver, and he's got a running back in Caden Durham, which he had last year, but I think they're going to lean on him more. He's got all the weapons. That's why Garrett Nussmeier is now the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy after 1 week. I came away very impressed. He's a top 10 pick.
The weeks leading up to this game, Garland, the one thing you questioned was how good is this offensive line going to be, because they lost a lot of starters on the offensive line. They replenished it through the portal, but you don't know how it's going to be until they get on the field and you see how it's going to be.
Yeah, and Tyree Adams got knocked out in the game, so then DJ Chester had to play left tackle. Paul Mubanga played left guard. They didn't miss a beat. They only used 6 offensive linemen. I think Brian Kelly was trying to mess with us when he said he was going to rotate like 8 guys. They were probably going to keep the same 5 out there unless Tyree Adams got injured. So very impressed with the offensive line. Like you said, Juan, it's 1 game, but you got to be fired up, especially when they got Louisiana Tech this week, and then next week they got Florida, which will be another biggie.
You worry about them overlooking La Tech, don't you?
Very much so.
I mean, La Tech's a talented football team. They're not on the level of LSU, but they just shut out Southeastern 24-0 in Ruston.
They'll be a Conference USA contender or whatever, but I think the question for LSU, just like we saw with Ole Miss last year, where they had very high highs, a team of transfers with a really experienced quarterback next to them, can LSU do it week to week?
Yeah,
we saw Ole Miss last year beat Georgia, lost to Kentucky. It was like
don't have that
you
drop
can
off.
see that happen with a team that's very talented, but is not that cohesive because there are a lot of new pieces. Very curious to see how LSU looks. Not necessarily this game. I think they'll be able to not play their best and win, but certainly when Florida comes to town.
Especially when they start reading the clippings of themselves.
Yeah, they definitely, everybody's on their side now, but I will say this, Juan. SEC is wide open. Alabama had their struggles. I looked at Alabama's schedule. They're at Georgia. They host Tennessee. They're at South Carolina before they play LSU.
Wow.
So Bama could have 3 losses before they host LSU in early November. I like it. They're going to be favored next week when Florida comes to town.
Yeah. Let's talk about Tulane, because smoke show over in Yeoman Stadium. 20-point win over a Power 4 team. You were there. Looked good, didn't it?
They grinded them up, and that was the surprising part. Northwestern's probably going to be one of the bigger teams they play. They're not a good Big Ten team, but they are a Big Ten team.
Remember once upon a time when Tulane was like, oh my God, this offensive line is too big. The Chris Selfo days. I mean, the offensive line was too big, but now Tulane's defense, and their team in general, is a big team as well.
The first play of the game was a sack fumble for Tulane, and you were like, okay, well, this is a different, thing. And that was I don't think a particularly good Northwestern team, but they harassed them, and they beat them in a way which feels sustainable in that they were much more physical than them. Tulane dropped a ton of passes. Retzlaff missed a few throws, but even then, it was never really in doubt. 4 interceptions is a good sign for the back end of your defense too, and you just couldn't ask for much better than a 23-3 win in which they took the air out of the ball. The entire second half, they were basically just trying to run the clock, which is crazy when you think of Tulane against a Big Ten team is just trying to get out of there, and that was it made for an interesting Saturday.
And Summerall, big news for him. It was his first win against a Power 4 program in his time between Troy and Tulane. I think he's going to have more wins against Power 4 teams going forward.
Are you all in on Jake Retzlaff?
I mean, I have to be. He's Jewish.
The Jewish obligation.
Religion aside.
I have to be. If I'm not going to support, who's going to support him? Yes, I'm all in on Jake Retzlaff. No, I thought he definitely missed some throws. No question. He missed a couple throws. They dropped a few throws on him. He probably would have had at least one more touchdown. But the 70-yard touchdown run, when he's outrunning an entire defense by himself, and you're going like, okay, that is different. That is not Michael Pratt could do that a little bit. And Darian Mensa could do that a little bit, but he was very much in the clear, and that's a whole different dynamic that they didn't have to use all that much.
38 days he was on campus at that game on Saturday. 38 days, and that's how good he looked in that first game. It's only going to get better for Tulane with Jake Retzlaff as the starting quarterback. Yep. Brendan Sullivan, slowly but surely, I think will get back to 100%. I don't think he's going to be there this week against USA, but maybe when Darian Mensah comes to town and Duke next weekend. But you like the quarterback situation. After bringing in 5 transfers, if you count TJ Finley in the spring, I think they finally got it right.
I don't think there's any team that Tulane cannot beat on their schedule. If everything goes right, that includes Ole Miss. Are they a college football playoff contender this season? You have to win out or at least lose just one game.
Yeah, it's the line is very thin. It's kind of the old school way where you have to you have to win impressively. It's like winning a national championship in 1996. It's like you have to not only win, you have to beat the right teams and beat them impressively because it's a pretty thin line and no margin for error. I think there's among the group, no doubt. I am very curious to see what they look like the next few games, because a lot of things were not sharp. Like I said, a few drops, a few missed assignments, but that's week 1. How much of that is correctable? And then I certainly, the Duke game, I think, will be the crux of the season in a lot of ways. Duke and then Memphis are the 2 big games. Ole Miss is, if you can get that one, that'd be great.
Yeah, they're plus 550 at Caesars, I think 450 at DraftKings. They have the lowest odds of any team to make the college football playoff as a power or group of 5 team. You got to like their chances, but if they can get through USA, get through Duke, and they go to Ole Miss undefeated, I'm gonna have to make a trip to Oxford 2 weeks in a row because LSU's at Ole Miss the week after that. So I'm getting very excited.
Yep, no doubt about that. All right, coming up, we'll talk some black and gold. Stay with us. All right, back here on The Final Bet, we're talking to Scott Kushner. 6.5-point underdogs the Saints are this weekend with the Arizona Cardinals coming to town. 6.5-point underdogs at home.
That's a lot.
Is that right?
They're not a very good team. I mean, they got a lot of holes. They're you see power rankings and they've got them dead last in most of them. And a lot of these NFL games, especially this part of the year when nobody knows much, it's what did you do last year and who's your quarterback.
Yep.
The Saints have probably the worst quarterback in the NFL as far as pedigree and winning and whatever, has brought nothing to the table that anyone has seen thus far. Not to say he can't be good, but he's shown nothing thus far. And he wasn't the number 1 pick in the draft or anything like that. And they finished last season terribly. I mean, they were a dreadful team the second half of last year, really the last month of last year. So the last time most people saw the Saints, they were losing 35-0 on Monday Night Football. So it's not shocking they're a 6.5-point favorite. I think it's about right.
Arizona Open is a 3.5-point favorite when these odds came out months ago. I mean, that it's moved to 6.5 just shows you how some people have lost some faith in the black and gold. I mean, we talked about all preseason about how the strength of this team was the offensive line, but now that Cesar Ruiz has struggled, you got Dylan Radins is going to be starting at left guard. We're not as excited about this team, the offensive line group, as we were once before. Kyler Murray on turf is going to be scary. You got Connor, running back. They got one of the best tight ends in the NFL. And they got Marvin Harrison Jr., who had a good season, not a great one. And Kool-Aid kind of struggled in the preseason games. Man, Marvin Harrison against Kool-Aid McKinstry, that could get interesting.
Yep. Spencer Rattler getting the start, hoping to get his first win in the NFL. Do you have any confidence that he can get a win in the first 4 weeks? 2 games at home, 2 games on the road.
If you don't get this one, it's going to be very tough. Yeah. And again, you're a touchdown underdog in this one. So I would say if you were to stack it up, it's unlikely. But certainly he has the ability. In the NFL, most of the games are going to come down in the fourth quarter. The teams are relatively even, especially early in the year when everybody's healthy. And we haven't seen that much of what Kellen Moore is trying to do. We certainly haven't seen Alvin Kamara. We haven't seen Eric McCoy. There's a lot of things we haven't seen to have a full understanding of where this team is. Do I expect him to win a game in the first 4? No. But it is definitely possible, and I think he has shown enough flashes to say he's a talented enough player to be where he is right now.
Garland, the thing he didn't have last year, Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, having those 2 big pieces back, that will help him have more success. It may not lead to a win, but it gets him closer to one, doesn't it?
Yeah, strange things happen in the NFL. I mean, last year he came in the second half and they almost beat the Commanders, which was one of the best teams in the NFL last year. So I'm How about this? Well, I'm going to be optimistic. I'll say they'll go 1-3 in those first 4 games. Maybe there's one weird game where they pull it off. Everybody's really high on the Niners. I mean, some people have them to win the NFC. So if they can get it, maybe get it against the Cardinals. It's going to be extremely tough going on the road at Seattle. Though Sam Darnold's the starting quarterback for the Seahawks. Okay, no one's scared about Sam Darnold after his performance in the last 2 games last year against the Vikings and the Rams. So I'll say they go 1-3. They get one win. I don't know where it's going to be though.
So you're going to be at the game on Sunday, just like we'll be at the game. But you're there because you're a season ticket holder.
Yeah.
Is that why you're there? Because you don't want to lose that money right away? Because you're tightwad? Is that what it is? I understand. I get it.
No, you got to be there. I'm always there. Now, it helps to have a 6-year-old, and if we'll talk to Sam, we'll be there. So he'll make me be there. He loves it. And go with your family, and it's a thing to do. It's not, it's tradition.
So the
It's what you do
6-year-old,
on
whether you're going to have the
Sunday.
headphones on him? So listen, you don't have to hear the nightmare. You just have to see. You just close your eyes and be like you're at home.
We'll get, $18 beer, $16 chicken fingers. We'll be there. But yeah, it's not like
what you do.
You don't wake up Sunday going, yes, there's a Saints game today. It's more like, I guess we're going to the Saints game today.
I know what the next 6-8 hours are going to look like. I got it.
There's 2 guarantees from this game from Scott. Okay, I'm gonna read them on X. He's gonna complain about the beer prices and the food prices. I can guarantee that he's got that post in draft right now. He's got it in draft right now. He's just gonna pull it out during about 1:30, and then but we at least the other guarantee is that. There's something else that Scott will get fired up about. Probably it's about the O-line or the offense.
I'm curious to see when he starts tweeting if the Saints are playing well. If they score the first touchdown. It's going to be like this, and then they start to slowly go. Anyway, do you think the Saints are going to finish last in the NFC South this year? And I still feel like this division's wide open.
It is wide open. It's wide open probably except for them. I think the other teams, you can see a lot of variance. I just have a hard time picturing how they're going to win.
Okay.
I mean, you look at just week-to-week matchups, you're going, who are they better than in the league? I think they laid it out right before the season of every single game they put the odds out, which doesn't mean much. You're talking 3 months in the future, but I think they're only favored in 1 game.
Yeah, but I disagree with that because I think to a man on a roster, I think they're better than Carolina.
They might be.
I do. I think they're equal to Atlanta because you still don't know what you have in Michael Penix. And I mean, I don't
like their coach. That's what. Yes, I could give you that. I think Raheem Morris is not a good coach.
So in those 2 teams, I think the Saints are even if not better roster as a whole wise. I think their defense is better than both those. I don't buy that they're not.
They're just
better
thin.
than 31 other teams.
And they're older, and the idea of DeMario Davis and Kamara and Cam Jordan playing 17 games just feels very challenging to believe at this stage. And you just haven't seen Shaheed stay healthy. You haven't seen Olave stay healthy. There's a lot of pieces that go into it. And once you get below those top 7 or 8 names, I mean, you are really digging at some unknowns.
Well, it's like you want to kind of keep the ship afloat until a guy like Taysom comes back to give you another weapon on the field.
And Foster. Juan, I know I've said this before. I just want to put it back out there again. This Carolina Panthers hype, I know Bryce Young had a strong end of last season. I think they finished 5-4 in the back end of last season. There's a lot of positivity about the Panthers. That's another one where, prove me wrong. Because I'm not buying it yet that Bryce Young is like a premier NFL quarterback and Canales is a great head coach. I'm going to wait and see on the Carolina Panthers because everybody's really high on them. Not to make the playoffs. I think people think they're going to go 8-9 though this year, which I think is a step up for them.
Absolutely.
I'm going to wait on them. So maybe the Saints can get 3.
Okay.
They can circle that. I don't think that they're going to have a better record than the Bucs. And Bucs are on another level. Falcons right below.
Let's about a minute to go. Who wins the NFC and the AFC?
I mean, how do you deny Philadelphia at this point? I mean,
until someone knocks them off.
The roster is just so impressive. And let's say Buffalo. It's got to be Buffalo. At one point, we got to be. Buffalo's got to do it at some point, right?
Okay.
They got to break through.
Man, I feel like I'm stealing Kushner's homework here because I definitely love Buffalo in the AFC. I know that everybody's getting on the Packers bandwagon since they traded for Micah Parsons. You know what? I'm going to go with the Commanders. I think year 2, Jaden Daniels. How about Washington and Buffalo in the Super Bowl? Just because I don't want to steal his picks there.
So who's your champ? Who's winning it all?
I I cannot believe how good Philadelphia's roster is. I just
On
can't-
both sides of the ball.
I just
On both
can't
sides of the ball.
imagine them losing, honestly, in the playoffs. And the way that Super Bowl was so emphatic.
All right, there we go. I'm not stealing his there. I say wings for everybody around, okay?
Oh.
Everybody get Buffalo wings. Josh Allen, you got some big names on defense, on offense. I'm gonna go with the Bills, man. They're finally in the drought. They never won a Super Bowl ever, lost 4 in a row. I think they get it done on this season.
Okay. Scott, thank you as always.